It's called EPIC, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and it's free to register at epic.live. EPIC is over 20 special guests across 16 sessions covering industry trends, marketing, branding, podcasting, and YouTube. EPIC is for pet keepers and breeders. It's for gecko and invert lovers. It's for snake and spider lovers. EPIC is for anyone who enjoys these amazing animals. Did I mention it's free? Register now at epic.live.
Texoma Exotics presents Not Another Reptile podcast.
Man, we just put him front and center, y'all. How's
Yes.
everybody today?
Hey,
That's for first.
how is everybody?
We
Doing
are
great.
great. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I know it's been a week for you, but you're here and ready to get this started.
You bet.
Of course.
Happy to be
Who's
here.
first? She is first. She loves her some Craig. What's up, Nikki?
Got to give a
How's it going,
shout
Nikki?
out to Nikki. They grabbed was it today? Yeah, they picked up a snake for me today. Just got shipped.
Oh,
in.
yay.
Awesome.
Nice.
Heard everything's going well with it. So
Good.
it's going
Mike,
well.
how's it going? Doo-doo-doo. Looky here, Miss Tara.
Oh.
How's it going? Chris, what's up, man? Oh, looky here. We got Mike in the house. Mike, I hope you're feeling so much better, buddy. Ready to talk with you and catch up. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Exotic A1 Pets.
He's always
And
bringing the
Stan?
blessing.
Always
Yes,
bringing the blessings.
Mr. Stan, how's it going, sir?
Man.
Let's see
How's
who
it
else
going,
we
Stan?
have. Okay. Bods, Mr. Jeremy, how's it going? Oh, no, Mike is still in the hospital, y'all.
Oh, man.
Ah,
And I do want to give a quick shout out to my grandma. She's been in the hospital. I don't like to talk about personal stuff on here, but she was diagnosed with lung cancer a few weeks back. And then Friday, she had to be put in the hospital. But she got out today on home hospice. So please keep her in your prayers and my family. It's going to be a rough one. So anyway, off to more cheery things, man. We usually start the show off with this here. So we're going to just go ahead and just here, let me do this. And we're just going to start it off like we usually do. There we go.
all right. I try to make these as tasteless as possible, but sometimes they're just plain old fashioned facts. And that's kind of where we're at tonight.
Okay.
So, in the spirit of Valentine's Day, I wanted to test you guys and see if you knew which reptile is the most prolific. And most prolific by number of offspring produced in its lifetime.
Snap. I would say seahorse.
Not quite a reptile. Close.
Reptile. Okay. See, I didn't catch that part.
This is a reptile podcast.
Hey, no, this is a whatever. podcast.
Reptiles.
It's not another reptile podcast, sir.
Oh, I mean, it's
Morning
open to
geckos.
other stuff.
Ooh, that's it.
Absolutely.
Wait,
Talking to
Craig,
Jelly?
what'd you say?
Morning geckos.
Okay.
Morning
Holly,
geckos.
I got a good answer here. It's
What is it, Tyler?
Leatherback sea turtle.
Leatherback sea turtle. I like where you're going with that.
Mm.
Jamie, what you got?
Well, I'm gonna go with Chris here, and also was gonna say like a retic. They have so many eggs in one clutch, but maybe not because they only do one clutch a year. But that was my first thought, so we'll go with it.
Okay, and Craig, you said morning geckos?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is the common garter snake.
That
Whoa.
garter
No
snake.
way, right?
They have 80 offspring or babies it gives live birth per pregnancy.
Wow.
And
No.
reliably each season.
Had
A
no
lot
idea.
of big snakes that have like large, clutches like the retics and berms and stuff like that. They don't go every year supposedly in the
Okay.
wild. So Number 2, though, which was interesting, was the green sea turtle.
Okay.
Oh wow.
200 plus eggs per clutch.
Yeah.
And they reliably reproduce every year. Of course, only 5 out of that 200, make it. But
How does that make sense? I just random question. 80 a year compared to 200 a year, and garter snakes are first.
I don't know. The
It's
AI
over their lifetime.
Maybe the AI is biased for snakes.
Hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Maybe
But it's got it at number 2. The green
Okay.
Maybe it's factoring in survivability.
could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, to go the other direction, the least prolific reptile. And I'm not sure how the AI comes up with this stuff, but it does cite, it gives me 3 citations each time. So, it's not like well, maybe it is still pulling it out of its whatever and just everything. But the least prolific reptile, which was surprising, assuming it's accurate. Who can guess? Tyler, what do you think?
I'm going last.
Okay.
He's got to look it up. He's got to have time, y'all. Hey, Pete.
That's all right.
Hey, Sammy.
Keep your hands where we can see them, Tyler.
I would say some kind of lizard, a gecko or something, because I know it's just like,
Chris is in my brain. So I was thinking some kind of skink, and I'm going to go with the shingleback skink.
Chris, what do you got? Did he already say something?
Me?
Yeah.
Craig.
No, I haven't.
Oh, Craig.
I don't know. Let's say Komodo dragon.
Komodo
Savannah
dragon.
monitor.
Savannah monitor. Holly, what did you guess?
I'm not really good at this. Just some kind of gecko. They only have, 1 or 2 little eggs?
So all of you are, the top 3 were the Komodo dragon, the shingleback skink, which produces only 2 eggs per clutch. But for some reason, they said the king cobra is the least prolific.
Really?
Because it has a long incubation time and they guard their eggs the whole time and they don't go every year.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
But Komodo dragon is also up there as far as the one of the least prolific.
Wow.
Very nice.
And this is as good as the AI. That's my get out of jail free card. So take that as you will. Maybe 5 turtle eggs are worth 1 garter snake baby.
You gotta equate.
So yeah. So there you go. That's what I've got for tonight.
Okay. We got Jamie, you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Yay. So here's the joke. So if bluebirds have blue chicks and red birds have red chicks, which bird has no chicks?
Dead bird.
That's the best answer I know.
I have no clue.
The swallow.
Oh my gosh, Jamie. That's a good one. Oh my goodness.
I don't expect these jokes to come out of Jamie.
They're not always dirty jokes, but Holly did say tasteless jokes, so I try to comply with the requests.
Okay. So we're going ahead and switch it up. And as y'all know, Craig has started something amazing in the industry. I'm just going to let him just start off and talk about it.
Well, we've started a new conference. It's a live conference that you attend on April 4th. It's called EPIC, which stands for Exotic Pet Industry Conference. And it's basically a content bomb. We've got 16 sessions that we're going to drop live within 3 hours. And they're on different tracks. There's an industry track where we're going to hear from Chewy.com. We're going to hear from Pangea, and we're going to hear from I knew I'd forget Chewy.com, Pangea, and I've been drinking since breakfast. Josh's Frogs. Josh's Frogs. And so that's the industry track. And these guys are going to give us kind of the overview of what's happening in the industry and where they see things going. What they see are the meta trends, and what we should be on the lookout for and how we should be preparing. Then we've got a marketing track where we're going to discuss different things that small businesses can do to improve their marketing, to improve their online presence, to understand more about selling and growing their business. Okay. And then we've got a business track, which is going to focus on business fundamentals, growth. We're going to hear from Frog Daddy, who's had just amazing growth, and he's going to tell us how he did that. We're also going to hear from the Wild Type podcast gals in the marketing track, and they're going to talk to us about how they monetize their brand. They've been extremely effective at monetizing their brand, and with them on that panel is going to be Dr. Mo from Tarantula Cribs, also Repta Cribs now. And so then we're going to have a YouTube track where we've got Brian Cusco and Adam Wickens and one other yet to be named. And then we've got a podcast track with Chris Krimitsos, he's in charge of the Podfest Expo, which is the largest podcasting gathering in the world. And so he's going to talk to us about some success tips for podcasting. So we're going to be talking about podcasting, YouTube, marketing, business fundamentals, and the industry. And you get to make your own tracks. So you don't have to just stick with one of those tracks. You can say, I'm going to listen to this from this track, then this from this track, and then this from this one. And then at the end, we're going to hear the keynote, which has not been announced yet, who the keynote speaker is going to be. So what's the point of it? The point of it is we want to equip people with tools to grow their businesses, to grow the hobby. And ultimately, it's about growing the hobby. That's, if you want to know what the punchline is of the whole thing, it's that. How can we grow? If you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel, if you have an Instagram feed, how can you grow your audience? How can you reach a broader audience? We're going to talk about things like, why do we have, the tarantula people over here and the snake people over here, and why is there not more, cross-pollination? Yeah. So it's really exciting. We've got a great team, and each track has a producer, and those producers are Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors, Kurt and Nikki from Irresistible, Adam Shearer from Proper Royals, Phil McLean from Constrictly Business, Chris Eaton from Fat Man Nation, and also we've got Robin Markland from Redline, and he has just been hugely impactful in the planning and the strategy of this event. The name was actually Mike Johnson. I was working on something like, I was thinking of like the Reptile Breeder Summit or something like that, and then Mike said Epic, Ep.86, and we were like, oh duh, that's amazing. So we chose that.
Yeah.
And we're actually able to get the domain epic.live. And so you can go there and register right now. It's free to register. And then you'll just get an email before the event reminding you about the event. But that's at epic.live. And we've had hundreds of people sign up already.
And the link is in the description below as well.
Sweet.
So,
yeah.
What made you just think one day, hey, I really want to do something like this?
Well, I used to be in the business world, and we had trade shows, and at these trade shows we would have conferences. There'd be a big expo, and then there'd be conferences that you could go to and follow these different tracks. And I always came back with something that was just really important to me. I always came away with something that I didn't expect, that was a real game changer for me in my career. And Robin had the same experience. People have been talking about doing this for a long time. It's just no one ever did it. And it was just people were talking about maybe doing it the day before Tinley or the day before Daytona or something like that. Since everybody's there, have some talks, but really what we wanted to focus on was business issues and growth issues. And so we just felt like there wasn't a forum for that. And so that's what this is for. Ultimately, we hope this becomes a forum for big ideas. This is where we want the industry to come together and share big ideas.
Well, I think it's really going to help like all businesses, small or large. And I know me, I'm very small, but hey, I'm still breeding animals and I still want to grow. I don't want to really grow my collection, but I want to grow all of our presence on YouTube and everything. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And it's been really an evolution. It started as a small idea, then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. The more people I brought into it, each person I brought into it had a bigger vision for it. And so that's what it has become. So this first year, every session is like really concentrated. It's 30 minutes and then 5-minute break and then 30 minutes and a 5-minute break. And then when it's all done, you can go back and watch whatever you missed. You can watch all of them if you want later. So we'll leave the archive up for a long time for you to go back and see the sessions you missed.
Yeah.
Now, when you first decided to do this, what were your very first steps? Now you touched on it a little bit, but how did you go from this just being in the ether to where it is now? I mean, who's the first person you called? What was the first thing you did? How did you get it off the ground?
I was incubating this idea a bit with Nikki and Kurt and talking back and forth about what we thought the gap was. How Animal Con is awesome, but that it just is really expensive for people to travel to it. Anything like this would require a lot of travel. And I'm an internet guy, so I have an internet company, and I was just thinking, why don't we do this now? Most conferences had to go virtual during COVID, so there's a lot of companies now that help you do virtual conferences. But they were my first call. Then I called Adam, then I called Mike, and it just sort of evolved. And then we brought in Robin, and we had a fully formed idea. And it's sort of any kind of entrepreneurial effort is sort of, you start with seeing something that's not there, right?
Right.
And then you start by making something out of nothing.
Right.
And so that's the same thing we've done here. We had nothing, and now we have something, but it's been a lot of back and forth with the different producers, and a lot of give and take, and a lot of good ideas sharing. And so it's been just a really great process, but it's come together very fast. I mean, we thought of this idea back in late January, the beginning of February.
Oh,
and we launched with the full slate of, almost a full slate of presenters, with 20 presenters on February 13th. So it came together very quickly. And that's something I look for in an idea. If nobody says no and everybody's just all in, then you might be filling a vacuum, and if it just sort of happens naturally, and it just nobody believed we could do it this fast, by the way. So I had to sort of say, well, suspend disbelief on these 2 or 3 things. And then the team sort of believed we could do it. But yeah, it's any new business is really creating something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And So that's really what this process has been.
Yeah, that's why I was
And
really
people,
interested in what
it's
the very
free.
first steps were.
They have to do it.
Say what?
Go
Say
ahead,
again,
Travis.
Holly?
I said it's free. Y'all have to get signed up.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. I mean, they could be charging quite a bit for this. I mean, people do Patreon and that stuff is expensive.
You know what happened first, though, now that you mention it, is I had I was watching a video from Chris Eaton, and he was actually, the topic was about, stay in your lane and how people sort of bully people to stay in their lane and sort of keep people down, right? And that wasn't the topic that really resonated. What he started saying was, we need more people, not less, if we want to grow the hobby. He was like, I can't do it, and you can't do it, but together maybe we could do it. And he said, we need more voices and we need bigger ideas. And so that was really the challenge that got me thinking initially.
That's awesome.
So the spark was really from that video.
Wow. So what,
Right.
if any, costs have you had thus far, you and the producers? Are you guys spending any money on StreamYard, on, advertising?
It's incredibly expensive. It really is. It's thousands per hour of produced content. It's these platforms that can do what we're doing are really the elite platforms, and StreamYard can't do it. Crowdcast can't do it.
Right.
Vimeo can't do it. There's a lot of platforms out there that offer these services, and I spent 2 weeks just finding all of them, and ended up finding one that was just amazing but super expensive. So we'll see how it goes.
So what is there a revenue model off of it? Obviously it's free to enter and watch all this stuff, but is there a revenue aspect to it, or is it mostly, are you funding through donations, or is this 100% personal, in the bank cash you're pulling out yourself?
We have sponsors, and so the sponsors are beginning to offset my ailing bank account. But yeah, So it's great. We have Chewy.com and we have Reptile Basics, and some others that are coming on soon. And so we've had support from industry, which is really great. And honestly, this first year, it's just about proof of concept. And actually, it's not accurate to say first year, because we really want to do this twice this year, and we want to do it every 6 months.
Wow.
Okay. What's my next question?
Yeah. And so we don't have plans to charge for it, but we might have to in the future. We'll just see how the proof of concept goes. I might want to take it on a full day next time instead of just pack it into 3 hours, and take a full day and then allow Q&A and do more of what you would normally do in a conference. And the platform we're using does allow for Q&A and stuff like that, and more user interaction. So, so it's, we'll see where it goes. But, sometimes, when you're starting something new, you just got to bet on yourself, and you just got to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
The boldness of this idea is what really grabbed me. So you guys just thought of this in January, and it's blown up, and you decided to make it free to get people excited about it. It's something brand new. That takes some testicular fortitude, if I dare say. And so, and then you're saying you're going to do it twice a year. So I was on board with it before I even realized it was free. So I do think that you'll probably be able to charge some stuff, but I do appreciate the fact that the idea is to get more people involved, more people informed. So why make a budget? Why make a ticket a hindrance? So I do appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like we need to establish ourselves and we need to establish the value proposition. We need to prove to people that we're worth it. I don't know that we'll ever have to charge, but I think that the other possibility is that we do start doing satellite ones, and we do some the day before a show. Maybe we have an epic satellite meeting before Daytona or before Tinley. Why not? We'll see how it goes, but I tend to not like to force those things. I like to see those things happen out of a need, a kind of a hue and cry from people wanting it, and then it makes sense to do. But honestly, it's really a giving thing. We just want the information out there. We want to start something that we hope gets bigger and more influential over time. And I know a lot of people are struggling out there right now in the reptile business, and we didn't feel like this was the proper idea to monetize heavily. This is sort of an idea that we just wanted to give to the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, all else fails, you can do snake raffles and auctions as well.
This is true. No, you have to call them taffles, Travis.
Taffles.
Yeah. You can't use the word raffle.
Okay. I don't know the story behind that, but it sounds funny.
Yeah. So I really, by the way, it's really not a ball python show. There's only a few ball python specific sessions. We've got Billy Rose, and we've got someone I can't name yet. And then, but we've got tarantula people, we've got gecko people, we've got, other inverts. And I really think that we need to broaden the scope. We get so down in our little niche, and I really think we need to broaden our scope of our interest. And by the way, most of the issues we're talking about are common. Most of the business and marketing issues are common amongst all of them, but we have specific challenges to our industry that are not present in other industries and other businesses. We have very specific challenges, specific legislative issues, regulatory issues, shipping issues. We it's a very unusual business model,
Some would even say it's a pyramid.
Oh,
God. I was going to say it, but I didn't. I'm glad
I
you did.
I got so much heat because I commented on that.
Oh, man.
Great.
You just commented and you got heat for commenting because you're giving it oxygen.
I still get heat. A little bit of oxygen here and there. I try not to, but I'm not.
And those flames, Travis.
My favorite thing about that whole thing is that somehow there's some new cryptocurrency or something, like there's a ball python derivative apparently that we can day trade. This is new to me.
I'm in. I love crypto. Let's do it.
I had to go and watch the podcast, and I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe this is what they're saying right now. I don't know. There's no knowledge from that end. I was like, oh God. Whatever. And then I checked the comments and I was like,
I don't know. I've only been doing this since April, so I saw that and I'm like, oh, what? I just got ball pythons. You can't be doing this. But more seriously, is that a pervasive perception? Some people say, oh, it's just a flash in the pan. No one will pay any attention to it, and others disagree. I mean, just the feedback that I got just from making one comment told me that there are a lot of people that, even if they don't really care, are fine with poking at this,
Yeah.
So negatively.
Well, I think, the thing that got me into making content at all was this kind of the ball Forge Coin. Yes, John, Forge Coin is legit. Forge Coin is legit. It's he's got like 10 people that accept Forge Coin as cash.
I do.
Isn't that awesome?
Me too.
So but it was this sort of idea, you know, that people got on kind of a hype train during COVID and would maybe sold a bit of a story about how easy it is to make money in ball pythons. And when it's really actually difficult, like anything is difficult that's worth doing, you know? And so that sort of got me into making content, because friends of mine were kind of getting hurt and they were getting bad advice, and people were like, here's all my shit, buy it and become a millionaire, you know? And,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, so I feel like now we're 5 years past COVID now, folks. It's time to mature our ideas of what this business is, you know?
What's going on?
Hey, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
And talk about growing the business. Like, there's so many people that have gotten in since COVID that didn't get in on like the whole big hype. I wasn't part of that. I didn't get in until like 2 years ago. And Travis, this is his first year. So the industry is still growing even after COVID. And I know there's like the sales are not as up as they were during COVID, but there's still more and more people getting, maybe not as fast. But it is your heart that drew me to even watching your content before this, Epic, your little videos that you would do on Instagram. And that was one of the first videos that I heard, was where you were talking about how you had your group of people, and that before they would buy a snake, you would talk to each other and make sure that makes sense and that you're not making an emotional decision. And that video just really resonated with me, and I followed you ever since. So it is your heart that I think is what's making this project even more amazing than, or even able to happen at all. Like you said, so many people had the idea, and it took somebody with the idea and the heart and the knowledge to bring it to fruition. And you built a strong team around you. I would like to hear how you got Chewy, because Chewy has been expanding into the reptile industry a lot more. They're not just for dogs, but I am very interested on that, like how you went and got them to join in on this idea.
So that was a connection through Robin, hashtag Redline Connect. And that's Chris Toft, and he's the merchandising category manager for reptile stuff. And they are, you're right, Jamie. They're very reptile forward right now. They're pushing hard. And so, you know, when you're only around like ball python people and everybody's crapping on the market and everybody says, oh, there's nothing good happening. Well, wait a second. How come one of the most innovative online retailers is going hard in this area, you know? And so that's one of the reasons we wanted to have him come and talk, because I'm a former retailer. I was in an executive in the book industry, and category management is everything in retail. Everything, all your budgets are by category, all your SKU counts are by category. Your sales are this year over last year, so those are called comp sales. And so if you're making an adjustment in a category, it usually means something else is being pulled back. So people don't just add SKUs or add products to their assortment just for no reason. And so I really hope to hear from him some of those things that are moving them to do that.
Yeah.
So is Chew, before we run the podcast or the sponsor thing, Holly?
You knew I was fixing to say that.
Yeah, I know. Before we run that, is Chewy, you know, on their online stores and stuff, going to be doing Epic advertisements or like anything like that to show to their obviously gigantic audience that they have and customers that they have? Are they going to do any like advertisements on their page of Epic, or do you know any of that yet?
No, but I hope that we're building the relationship that could lead to that. That's what the hope is.
Because that would be epic.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and play the sponsor video. And when we come back, we can talk about your collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
If you need to accelerate your breeding plans, use Charlie at Grey Rider Reptiles for fast and reliable shed testing services. His testing services offer both speed and accuracy, ensuring that you receive dependable results in a timely manner. As a valued customer, he is happy to offer you a 15% discount on your purchase. Visit www.shedtesting.com and use code TEXOMA15 during checkout to take advantage of the offer. Limit of 2 uses per customer.
Meet Sammy, a ball python breeder with a specialty in the pipe project. When you meet him, don't be shy to ask questions about his snakes, as he loves to share his knowledge and experience with others. He's a friendly and approachable guy who is always happy to chat with fellow reptile enthusiasts. Whether you are a seasoned snake breeder or just starting out, Sammy is the perfect person to connect with if you are interested in the pipe project. So keep a lookout for that hot pink shirt.
Python Suzy. He's been professionally fondling pythons since April 2024. Before that, it was just for fun. He has balls and golans, and soon he'll have dwarf Burmese pythons in his collection. He loves dark clowns, leopards, and long walks on the beach with sunsets. He thinks orange dream and blackhead are salt and pepper on a good steak. Hit him up. He'll talk about just about anything.
I still can't get over your video, Travis. It makes me smile every single time.
Makes me smile too. I love it. You did a great job.
That was a good voiceover.
Well, and for just before we get into off the Chewy topic, Chewy for me in my small little world that I'm doing has been kind of big. So they deliver our rodent food straight to our house, which is amazing. I don't have to go and get it. That's great. And they have the high protein rodent food, which is perfect for the ASF. So that's even better because that's harder to find sometimes.
Yep.
And one of our first, it's like our second customer that bought a ball python from us I'm pretty sure bought their rack, or not their rack, but their enclosure and most of the stuff in the enclosure, which is beautiful, from Chewy. So it's been pretty cool. So it's been fun. They've helped me out for sure a bunch as far as the rodent food goes, because I can't find it at Tractor Supply by us. So I just have it delivered to the house.
That's good. That actually leads me into a couple questions before we get completely off the topic. Because you had talked about a few minutes ago about the market and kind of a little bit about market indicators with Chewy getting into the reptile supply industry. So I wanted to get your own take on what you think the reptile market and / ball python market is doing, and what is the, I mean, I know what the significance to me means with Chewy getting into reptiles. How do you see it based on your experience and your background?
I definitely, whenever a retailer's bread and butter is to know what's happening and to be able to capitalize on it. That's the bread and butter of a retail chain. And so that is, and especially in what we call specialty retail. And specialty retail, as opposed to like Walmart, is the opposite of specialty retail. Probably the most, Sephora is probably the most specialty retail. And pet supplies is specialty retail, although it has some categories that are very broadly purchased and some that are more niche. Obviously ours is going to be more niche. Their bread and butter is going to be dogs and cats, always will be, right? But when a retailer starts making moves into a category, they're following signals. In the book industry, when Twilight hit, there wasn't a young adult reader category in the book industry. And once Twilight hit, all the Harry Potter kids had grown up and were reading Twilight, and that spawned an entire category. That one series spawned an entire category in the book industry. And so I tend to pay attention when people do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So as far as market indicators go, what do you see that maybe you think Chewy sees? personally?
I think that we've been very myopic about ball pythons, and ball python is always going to be the biggest piece of the market, I think, for reptiles. But I think, you know, when you talk to people that have been doing this for a long time, there are bubbles that burst. You know, there are cycles. Every business has cycles, right? And so there was sort of, maybe you could go back and look at the stock market and see there was sort of some stupid money days. You know, I remember, you know, Alan Greenspan saying irrational exuberance was fueling the stock market at one point in 1998, and so maybe there was a little irrational exuberance during the COVID years, you know, but at the end of the day, it's I think ball pythons is still an incredibly robust market. When you hear people talk like Justin talk about it from Canova, he speaks of it as a juggernaut that you can't stop. To the small breeder, it might feel like everything stopped, but when you look at it on the macro side, nothing changed on the macro side for demand. It's not like all of a sudden the public stopped being interested in ball pythons, right? It was entirely a supply side problem. So I just feel like, you know, if we can focus more on the pet industry and getting more people into the ball python world as pet keepers, I think that we'll be able to build a more sustainable model that's not just sort of, hey, what you need to, your first thing you need to do is buy 10 animals, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, and we mock that, the and rightly so, you know, that podcast that talked about the pyramid scheme, but we all know someone who wants to sell snakes that way, you know. And they don't really care if they're giving you their best shit either, you know. and so I think first we need to talk about the animals, and we need to tell the story of the animals, and because that's everlasting and doesn't change with market forces at all. Okay. So we need to tell the story about the animals, and then to people that have identified that they want to go into breeding and they want to do it as a business, let's tell the right story to them. And the right story meaning, if you want to do this as a business, you have to approach it as a business, and it's different. It's different than when you approach it as a pet keeper. You make all different choices.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's sort of my spiel on it.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Okay, who else got questions? I want to know about. I want to know about them. I want to know. Yeah. I want to know about like your favorite morph of ball pythons and what else you have besides ball pythons.
Yeah, I think I'm really getting into scrambler stuff. I've really been enjoying that. Just the possibilities of that, whether it be bringing back pattern and pied, whether it be the interactions with calico and the interactions with you know, Orange Dream and things like that. I'm really kind of excited about that. I haven't been excited about a codom like this in a while. You say something, Tyler?
Have you seen, I think he probably posted them a week ago, Marcus Jane posted a new Super Scrambler Super OD Hypopide.
Yeah.
And it is stupid looking.
And the whole top is pattern, and the pied is like the lower third all the way through.
I was like, okay, maybe I need to look into Scrambler more.
Oh, right?
God. It blew me away.
So yeah, I'm really kind of into that. I accidentally bought a scrambler that I didn't know about. Also, I got a scrambler from Chris Hernan recently, but I also accidentally bought one from Billy because Billy didn't know he had Scrambler in his collection,
Oh, nice.
and so I got a cool Super Asphalt OD NC Scrambler from him.
Oh, wow.
He gave me a call like, Craig, remember that Super OD NC Calico, Super Asphalt OD NC Calico I sold to you? I said, yeah. How's that looking? I said, better than I thought it would at this age. And he said, that's because it's Scrambler. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Great call to get.
yeah. I also really I love pattern changers. Like I love Acid, Confusion,
Yes.
Yeah.
GHI. I love Cryptic and Krypton. I love the project because it allows, and I'm in Ultramel Cryptic Krypton with trying to get hypo into it. What's up, Tyler?
No.
His nose is just I know what he's thinking.
Oh, he's thinking puzzle.
No.
I'm thinking the other gene that's in there. You said Ultramel. I like Monarch. I didn't say that. I just made a frowny face. It's okay.
Oh, at Ultramel. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, it's I'm really kind of excited about that project because of how versatile it is.
Yeah.
Because of the Krypton interaction with the Het Cryptic and the Het Clown. It just means that you've got, and you end up with cryptics, you end up with kryptons, and you end up with clowns, and I like all of those. So
Right.
So what are your like key codons you think that you're going to be working into your Cryptic, Krypton, Ultramel stuff? Like, are there any one or two codons you think you need in that project?
I'm really working it from the because Krypton is such a pattern thing right now, and because I'm in the base of the project, I'm really not thinking about other codons to go in it right now.
Right.
But in a couple of years, I'd like to experiment and see where Confusion could go with it, where Scrambler could go with it, stuff like that.
I'm really jealous. Jamie picked up one. It's a POS Scrambler off of Chris. Or what? No, it was Muscles and
No,
Geeks.
it's a Muscle and Geeks, but Chris said if you want a scrambler, that I think this is Scrambler, but obviously I can't say for sure it is. So that was enough for me. So I have a Clown Boy Possible Scrambler that I picked up at Southeastern Reptile Expo. So
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, I did pick it up. My husband totally surprised me with it, and I didn't know we got it until we were leaving. But
you could see him as the Scrambler consultant all through the building. He was going to different people's. Yeah, is this Scrambler? Yeah, that's Scrambler.
His word is good enough for me, so he picked it up. My husband surprised me with it, so that was great.
That's great.
So
do you have any lace?
The only lace I have is sort of a useless lace. In other words, it's a instead of making bells for shows, I have a couple animals that I make black-eyed Lucy's with. So so I've got ivories, and one of my male ivory also happens to be lace, and we know this. We know this because I got it from the guy who's the founder of the Lace Project. So, he had a super, or a white lace, and so it's my only lace. I really like it a lot, though. I really want to work it in. I've been getting other codons I've been getting into are Black Pastel and Hurricane.
I like Hurricane.
Yeah, so I've got a few Hurricane clowns that I'm raising up and females, and so I'm really excited about that.
Is it Barnhart Black Pastel or just regular Black Pastel?
So I have both. In my Scrambler, I have a Barnhart Black Pastel, high OD, and she scrambler het clown, and I can't rattle off morphs like some people do. I'm an old man, but but I really love Barnhart Black Pastel because of the extra oranges, and I have some Wookiee Barnhart Black Pastel stuff that I really like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
you just named 3 genes that I think would work perfect in your Ultimo Cryptic thing. When I asked that question, I had 3 in my head, and it was chocolate, which I'll just say is Wookiee, Black Pastel, and Hurricane. Those were the first 3 where I was like, Ultimo Cryptic with those 3 codons would look insane. So you already have them.
Just get off my ass and use them. Maybe they need to get off their ass and grow up so I can breed them.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So how long have you been doing this, Craig?
This is my 6th year.
6th year.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on what you did the first 6 months, the decisions you made, and the actions you took?
I had 3 goals: learn the animals and their care,
Right.
learn the equipment, because I had already decided after I had my first 2 that I wanted to do it as a business and I wanted to scale it. Because even if I didn't do it as a business, I hobby really hard anyway.
Mhm.
So I wanted to learn the equipment and how that can help them in their care, and I wanted to learn the market. And what I really ended up, so I had locking tubs with heat pads and 4-channel herpstats. And so, I had them all on shelves, and for, my first 15 or 20 snakes. And then I got my first rack, but the number one mistake I made was I was trying to make value purchases. And so I'd buy groupings of animals and not understanding, and I'd listen to advice about how the best way to start, your pied project is with a bunch of het pied females and a pied male. And, I listened to a lot of advice at the time that were coming from YouTube videos that really were not in my best interest. And I bought with my eyes instead of, my brain. And I know people say buy with your eyes, but they don't mean just buy any old snake because you like the way it looks. It's a matter of, I bought a lot of animals. Almost every animal that I bought during those first 6 months, I no longer have.
Do you remember how many you bought the first 6 months? How fast did you get into this, I guess?
I probably had 20 animals, maybe.
Okay.
Oh,
6
wow.
months in.
Well, what I was going to say is that's a very interesting cycle, and I feel like almost everyone goes through it. I see it a lot less now with people getting in, I'll call it, over the past year and a half.
Yeah.
Instead of, the value purchases and the big bulk purchases are a little less common now. And it's interesting to take a step back and see, what decisions you would have made if you had the knowledge that you have now. Is that one of your, I'm not going to call it a regret, but is that one thing you look back on and go, that was a mistake, I wish I would have done it some other way? Or are you happy that you kind of made that, I'll call it an error, but you made that step that most people do? Like, are you happy that happened to you? Or
No. I mean, I'm happy I learned the lesson, and most, pain is an excellent teacher, and sometimes I have to learn that way. But honestly, what I wish I had done first was really learn the morphology, really learn the different genes. I wish I had studied the genetics first before making big investments. And I wasn't making big investments, but I wish I had learned more about the importance of recessives, the bad interactions of some genes, just stuff we eventually learn in this thing, but we don't always learn it without having owned them.
Yeah.
Right. Did you buy like a group of caramel albinos and 17 spiders, or what did you do?
No.
Jeez.
Nothing.
Luckily,
like that?
I didn't do that. Just a lot of underpowered animals that were not gonna take me anywhere.
Gotcha.
They weren't gonna lead to any projects.
So my next question is, what do you do like after work, after you're done with your reptiles and stuff? What do you do for fun?
I have way too many hobbies. So I'm a ham radio operator, have been for over 40 years. So I like to do Morse code and stuff like that. I like to talk around the world on ham radio.
7.4 megahertz.
40 meters. Yeah. So, I like that. But honestly, my hobbying has gotten very focused. I'm really into music. I have a former music career, before I got into retail. And, so I do like making music, and, I have all kind of my whole space down here is just full of my hobbies. But honestly, since I've got really serious about ball pythons and about snake breeding in general, this really took over a lot of that space. Like I'm not playing video games very much anymore. I used to play a lot of real-time strategy games and stuff like that. And it's a lot of that stuff has just sort of lost its luster for me.
Well, you have
Yeah.
real-time strategy in the snake breeding, so it just morphed into something different.
That's right.
Well, so
So are ball pythons the only thing you keep?
No, I've got about a dozen species. I've got Brazilian rainbow boas. I've got Suriname and Guyana boas. I've got some BCIs. I've got a lot of short tail and blood pythons. Well, a lot, maybe a dozen.
are they all bloods or different species of short tails?
Different species. So I've got, it's kind of Noah's Ark. I got two of everything kind of. I've got a couple of chromehead Sumatrans, and I've got a couple of blackhead Sumatrans, and I've got one orangehead Sumatran. I've got like a 007 and couple T negative, T positive, and then just a regular matrix blood. So I really enjoy those things. Yeah.
Are your blackheads, blackhead Sumatrans, like are those a breeding project for you, or
They will be.
how
yeah.
soon?
They're not big enough yet, so I would say a couple years maybe.
Well, let me know when they lay, because
I've got my chrome heads are they're actually from Vin Russo, and they're actually breeding this year. So
I might need one of them.
yeah, they're great. They're amazing.
So what was your rationale for diversifying?
For what?
For diversifying into the other species?
Couple things. First, I saw how everyone was having such a hard time getting a table at the big shows if they just had ball pythons.
Yeah.
And you got to have some diversification, I think, to do that. If to break in anyway. So I just thought it would help from a business standpoint, but mostly from an enjoyment standpoint. I really did buy a lot of things just to see which I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of R&D.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Right.
Do you said bloods, Sumatrans, no Borneos?
One Borneo,
Okay, nice.
granite side.
Okay, I was gonna say normal. Got you.
Yeah. Yep. So one Borneo. I don't really have plans for it other than just to keep it and enjoy it. I don't have other Borneos, and it's not really looked upon kindly to crossbreed them. So I'm just going to enjoy it,
Right. All right. Well, we're at an hour here, and I know everybody's got stuff to do. It's still a weekday. So if y'all have any questions about Epic, hit up Bash Coda Reptiles. His description, all of the links and everything under the video. Go there. Sign up.
Awesome.
Anybody else have anything else?
Just Craig, stay backstage for a minute.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, we could go on for a long time. Holly.
See everybody later.
Right,
Bye.
you guys-
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.